Well, it's officially wrestling season. If you came from outside, it's freezing out there today, so it's definitely wrestling season. But an exciting group, an exciting home schedule, lots of challenges, lots in front of us. I tell this group all the time that this sport is a marathon, not a 100-yard dash. So we get to run the first mile this weekend, and we're gonna run a mile every weekend. And at the end of the year, I think this group's got a chance to be really good.
Coach, what were some of the biggest takeaways from Thursday night wrestle-offs?
Depth. I think we have really good depth this year. I think our 1s and 2 guys at a lot of weight classes are really could represent us well. And it was a first step. We're going to use the wrestle-offs as a gauge, obviously. We're going to give guys that those matches that were close matches. I think there was 5 matches that were a couple points. Those guys are going to get a chance to challenge. I think on November 9th we're going to do some second and third matches possibly. And then we're going to look at some open tournaments that we've got in November to gauge just how we get to the number 1 guy. So I told them don't get too high if things went your way, and don't get too low if things didn't go your way, because we're going to get a chance to. You're going to get a chance to stay in there and see what happens. But we don't know when we'll figure out who the number 1 guy is exactly. But it's always going to be open, and it's always going to be up for grabs.
What did you see from the Frost twins over the offseason? And obviously, they both won the wrestle-off this on Thursday. So what did you see?
Yeah, they had big nights last Thursday night, and I think it's a testament to them. I'm sure a lot of people on the outside probably were surprised by, kind of how those 2 wrestle-offs went. But I don't think anybody on the inside that's in this room every day we're surprised about that. When you show up every day and you're ready to go and you put your nose to the grindstone, as they say, you're going to have good results. And those 2 guys are workers. I'm just telling you, they're workers.
Given all that David's accomplished already, what does an extra season mean in terms of, he's hearing me ask this question, maximizing his potential even more fully than he already has?
Well, it's funny. We had a conversation this morning, him and I did. We had individuals this morning, and so he was getting ready to come up and do an individual with Coach Metcalf and a partner this morning. And I said, you're a guy that really focuses and concentrates on goals, and that's part of the reason you're good. But, you got to have really, really high goals this year. You're a guy that's capable of you're at a tough weight class. And, the benefit of being at a tough weight class is if you're greedy and you want to win the Hodge and some of those big awards, that's the best place to be. So I challenged him in that respect. And so, I know he's got new goals, and that's the great thing about a new season. You start all over. You got to get in shape. You got to prove your ranking, and you get a chance to go for the gusto, and he's going to get a chance to do that.
So, Coach, what's one of your favorite things about David Carr? He's one of the leaders on the team.
His cell phone's always on. Never, ever. His cell phone is always on, and it's on right now.
I know, Tom Brands last week had some things to say.
Oh.
Had some things to say about kind of where all the gambling stuff kind of stands. Where are you kind of at with your program in that realm?
Next Wednesday, we'll kind of figure out where that all shakes out at. That's the NCAA's got to sort all that out, and and I don't usually feel bad for the NCAA many times, but in this particular situation, I do. The last thing they wanted to do was get a bunch of stuff thrown on their desk and deem guys ineligible and to what level of being ineligible. So they got to figure all that out, and I'm glad they went from, I think when they originally came out, I think those rules were pretty antiquated and needed to be looked at again, and I think they did the right thing there. Now that I think they're just trying to figure out where to land in that space.
What's been the communication there so far in terms of if on November 8th things go in a positive direction for you guys, in terms of how quickly maybe that can turn in terms of maybe getting guys eligible right now?
Well, I think I think obviously the best case scenario for those young men is it's retroactive and boom, they're ready to go. And then obviously if not, then what does those penalties look like? Is it how many dates is it? Is it a season? Is it your career? Obviously I think they went away from the whole career thing because that's what the whole reason they came in and said, hey, we're going to make some new rules and put some different penalty levels in here. So again, it's just a wait and see situation. We've obviously got a few guys in that space, and we just tell them to put their head down and come to work every day, and we got to control what we can control. And but I'm glad the NCAA's thinking hard about it, and we'll see what next Wednesday looks like.
What's Cody been like since he got here, and what was the process like in getting him here?
Well, the process of getting here was really weird because he started out somewhere else down the road, but he's been a joy. Wrestling's really important to him. He's high energy. He's a little bit banged up. He's probably about maybe a week away from getting on the mat. Maybe worst case 2 weeks. So we got a couple of guys. We got him and Will at 184, and Panero. All three of them are a little bit dinged up right now, but they can get back in there in the next week or two. We just got to be smart about it since it's so early. But he's a talented dude, Cody Chit. I mean, wrestling's important to him.
What have you seen from younger Bastida at heavyweight?
A big guy. He likes to eat. He likes to lift weights. He's training really hard. He's got a lot of energy. He told me that you're going to see a huge gas tank, and so I'm holding him to that. And if you don't know what a gas tank means, that means for 7 minutes he's going to go out there and try to tear it up. And so that's what I'm excited to see, because we all know he's athletic and we all know that he can really throw it out there.
What do you think his biggest adjustment is going to be?
I think he's going to fit in well there. Obviously coming with his background, the bottom's always a challenge, and so he's going to get, guys that are a little bit bigger, and, he weighs about 238, so the weight class limit's 285, so he's going to get some big dudes that are going to get on top of him, and, we're going to have to use our athleticism and our technique to get out of those situations.
Haven't gotten a chance to do the Humboldt thing a couple times, and we saw you up there about a month ago. Just what has that kind of meant to this program and that experience?
Well, Humboldt's been very good to us. When I say us, our program, there's always a huge, in this day and age of college sports, there's always a huge fundraising component outside of the program that you need support from your alumni and your boosters. And Humboldt's been real good to us. They've supported our regional training center a lot. They're helping us in the collective space, I know, as well now. So they've been very, very good to us. So I just kind of felt like if I can build a really good home schedule here at Hilton, that we could sneak one over there, and it's worked really well. And in kind of a side note with Wisconsin this year, Coach Bono, who's a former Cyclone, his wife's from Humboldt, and so it seems like we've always kind of found a theme. The goal is to go, embarrass his wife's family. That's really what we're going to try to do for 2 hours.
How's Gaitan coming along?
MJ Gaitan's doing a great job. Really looked good last week, and I think as a redshirt freshman, I think you're going to see a lot of things out of him this year. We're really excited. That's the funny thing is just to see all these guys. There's a lot of guys that can't wait to get going, and I think are going to surprise a lot of people in the month of November.
What do you think of the team that you've put together? Obviously, you got leaders like David Carr, and then younger Bastida is an older guy now, and you got the young talent like Casey Tversky. You get a new guy like Anthony Echemendia. You got other young guys like Chittum. What's your perspective on the team that you've built here?
I think it's got a chance to be a really good team. It really does. I mean, we've got a lot of athletes right now. There needs to be a lot of focus away from the room and making sure that we understand what we got to do to train. That means sleep, nutrition, just the maturity to make sure that when we get in here and we get across the road at Hilton that we're ready to go. If you think about it, we get them on average 3 hours a day. Means there's 21 hours they got to figure out. And for young kids, that's a big step to do those 21 hours correctly. So those are the averages, those are the numbers, and you got to do a good job outside of this place. I'll tell you what, when you get these guys in here and you get them training, though, there's lightning and fireworks in here. But we got to make sure that we're doing the right things, especially now that we're descending in weight. And I always say, I used to, as a young coach, get excited to see them in July and August when they trained, and as I've gotten older and wiser, I've realized that what counts is when they get those 2 feet on the scale and they get those 2 feet off the scale and they got to wrestle in 2 hours. Then how good are they? That's July and August don't mean crap. Then it's about we're going to get a chance to be very real here the next couple of weeks.
If they do those things right, what's the ceiling for this team?
Well, this team's got to, this team's capable of definitely being a top 5 team. Right now. We said that last year and we didn't get it done, right? We came down to the very end and it was a game of inches. We were 1 match away from 7th and 2 matches away from 5th. So you lose, younger Bastida loses a real controversial overtime match, and David Carr gets beat in the finals and we go from 11th or 5th to 11th. So you got to do a lot of things right at the very end, but this team's definitely capable of being right up in the hunt.
You mentioned Younger and David again. I was starting with Younger. How quick has he been able to adjust to that heavyweight position just in a little bit of a short time here?
in the off season, he's always grabbed big guys and done really well. In the regional training center world, we get some really high level big guys that come in, and he's always done really well with them. So he knew he had the confidence. And truth be told, he probably wanted to go heavyweight last year, but with Sam Schuyler and just the dynamics of the team fitting in really well, it just, he made the sacrifice in '97, but I don't think he liked it. Cubans, they like to eat. He's, it didn't take him long. I think he weighed like a week after the Nationals 225. So he's 238 now, so he's pretty solid.
Where do you want him to be? Sorry.
That's a good weight for him if we can keep hold that weight. He's athletic and quick, and we got to use our athleticism to maneuver those big fellas.
I think the talk of this offseason a little bit with a guy like David is that matchup between him and O'Toole a little bit. I think the consensus has been a little bit that might be the matchup that everyone's watching as the season goes on. I mean, do you think that's maybe one of the best rivalries, the best matchups in the sport right now?
I think so. I think that everybody's going to look to that, and I think, the guy that wins that weight's going to be in line for a lot of accolades at the end of the year. So, I know he's looking. We get a chance if both guys are healthy, they get a chance to wrestle 3 times. Last year we won 2 and lost 1. We just lost the wrong one, and we need to turn that around. But those guys are, both of them are world champs in their age groups as youngsters. So, and Keegan O'Toole just won a world championship again last week. So, they don't get any bigger than that guy.
You'll get a chance to go back to David's hometown. How are you feeling about that trip?
It's good. I'm excited that, with the craziness of getting a 6th year, I thought, wow, why not start out and go get back to David's hometown. And, he hasn't been, I don't think he's wrestled in Ohio since he came to Iowa State. So a chance to wrestle a program like Cleveland State at his high school is a good first step for us.
With the RTC, you talked about NIL money, what it's going to take to get some of these guys in, and also the announcement of the facility. What's been the support like when it comes to raising funds to not only get the facility, but talk about the collective money raising?
Well, that's the game we're in right now, and whether you like the rules or don't like the rules, if you want to be successful at, even in Division I wrestling, you got to have resources. And so the people that have got behind our collective, we got a group up north in Okoboji that started the Cardinal and Gold Collective right after the season this past year, and they've got our guys some opportunities and continue to work hard to make us competitive and help us keep competitive. And so, the regional training centers have been around since day one. When we started here, one of the very first things I did when I got hired was start the Cyclone Regional Training Center, and that's been great for our guys to compete and bring in postgraduates. But now we're in a world where the college guys are getting opportunities, and they're making appearances, and they're getting paid for appearances, and that's just the world we live in.
Talk about finding out the Cyhawk will be on ESPN.
That's pretty cool, isn't it? According to Ben, that's the first time it's ever happened. I believe Ben. So to get that is a big thing. To get the flagship station to cover you, and the first one ever is in Hilton Coliseum at Ames, Iowa. I think that's very fitting if you look at the history of this program and what Iowa State's accomplished over time for that first big ESPN dual meet to be in Ames, Iowa.
What was the reaction from your guys like?
Oh, they'll get excited when it gets here, but they don't get too excited about that. So right now, as long as we keep feeding them, that's all they care about.